Okay, so we just started the stream. It is live now. I want to say welcome everyone. Welcome back and thanks for listening again to Anonymous Bites Back Free Catalonia episode 3 already. We promised we would broadcast every Sunday. Our other streamer is away for now, so I had to pick up on it real fast. So if there are some technical difficulties, I already apologize for it. Our streamer is here next week again, and I'll try to do the best I can to make this everything work. For now, it seems to be doing fine. So we have our guests back in again. You Catalonia and Liz is here too, and we have my friend Faletti is here too. Join us.
Thank you, man.
Thanks for being here. I don't know. We discussed a lot of things last week, but we can start out with something simple again. Just to explain a little about the. Okay, the sound is too low at YouTube. Sorry, guys.
الانجز بديك شخص يحكي. Can you send me the link of YouTube channel?
Yeah.
Thank you, bro.
There we go. Sorry, trying to get us a little more bandwidth here, see if that clears some of it up.
Thank you, my friend. I can cut you later. Ding, ding, ding.
Oh, you're here too, Tarch. Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Is it not hearable at all, or is it like super low? Or?
No. Yeah, I can't hear. I'm only hearing our side. So we're losing it across the pond. Stand by, guys. Just when we do the international shows, we do sometimes have some connection problems, so we might have to figure some stuff out here to make sure we get a solid connection.
Okay.
Alright.
Okay,
well, I mean, sorry, go ahead.
No, you go first. I was actually just.
Well, I mean, I know we did a show last week that gave a lot of people some information about Catalonia, about the Catalonian struggle. Maybe we can start out with just having our guest kind of explain, in short, some of the things that have been going on over the last 500 years. I know that's a lot to say, but it's important to note it's that long of a history of the oppression of the Catalonian people. I mean, this is not a new issue, but yet the world doesn't seem to know about it. So it's super important that we get the word out, being that it is a struggle that's been going on for so long. And I mean, when you look at the people that are trying to oppress Catalonia, they are undeniably always Nazis, always fascists. So yeah, I'd like to just kind of get started that way, so people have a little bit of history.
Yeah, I don't know if Liz wants to start, maybe.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, what's the question then?
just for the listeners that are that didn't catch our show last time, just a brief history of the ongoing struggle in Catalonia for independence.
Well, the struggling of Catalonia is now for many years ago, for some generations. And now it seems that we were about having it. Well, it seems not really, because we thought that we were about having independence, but it was not really ready to have it. Well, I think more or less I explained a little bit last week, but it was all about this referendum. And people just vote yes, and we had all this struggling. This one of the 1st of October. That's why I think when people in the world now, maybe they start to know us because of the 1st of October. Because Catalonia is really a very small country, and we consider us a country, but all this problematic that people only see Spain outside, and now they start to see that there is a small part of all the territory that it's about Catalonia, and that we want independence, but until before we were just forgotten or not known enough, because in the rest of the world they don't think about we are living in different cultures in the same territory or some. They don't know the history about us, I think. Yeah. Catalan was forbidden here. To speak Catalan, I think I told you last time. In my grandparents, where they were living, it was for a period forbidden. So people only spoke Catalan in the families, inside the families, and when they went out, they had to change and to talk Spanish if they if they didn't want to be punished. So it's quite the recent history that now we have gained some steps to have the recognition of being independent. I don't know if I am expressing so good, because I want to say so many things. It's too many information. So
Yeah, and there's a lot to go over. So I mean, real important. Two of the things that she's saying is that the Spanish government made it illegal to speak Catalan, right? So if you were caught speaking, you could be beaten, arrested, all of that just for speaking your native language. On top of that, they imported a bunch of people there.
Sorry, I lost the connection.
Language, so that you had to speak only Spanish. Like, they demanded that they speak only Spanish. I know that you had a vote once before, and the Spanish government made the vote illegal, even though they voted overwhelmingly to be independent.
Yeah.
Yes, and the vote. They are now in a trial, and the thing is that the vote was just to know what was the will of the people, and the thing is that we've reached the point in which almost everyone knows that this is not a fair trial. Organizations and associations worldwide have already asked for the release of the prisoners. They are now in prison, part of them, and the other part they are in exile. associations such as Amnesty, the Working Group on Arbitrary Detention of the United Nations, Frontline Defenders, the American Bar Association, many more. Also people such as Noam Chomsky, Ai Weiwei. And also, on the other hand, there's people in exile who also organized the referendum, who had exactly the same charges as some of the people in the trial. The one was in Belgium. The Spanish investigative judge issued an European arrest warrant that later withdrew because he realized that the Belgian judge was not going to extradite him. And when Puigdemont was in Germany, the Spanish judge issued a new arrest warrant all again when the German court said that he couldn't neither be extradited for rebellion nor for sedition. So we're clearly seeing a justice system care at all about justice. We just want to imprison the Catalan leaders, even when the criminal offense they are accused of doesn't match the facts. It feels at this point that they just want vengeance for having organized a vote.
Yeah, that's right.
So what they're saying there is that there's for organizing the will of the people, for letting democracy be known, for letting the will of the Catalan people being known, they're charging and arresting any of the leadership that organized it for just organizing a vote to find out what people think. Even though, in all reality, we already know what the people of Catalonia think.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And one of the things that is more impressive is that if you check what people were saying on the day of the referendum, especially many are for the unity of Spain, what they were saying differs from what they're saying today. So no one was talking about rebellion in October 1, 2017. Politicians debated who was to blame for the police violence of October 1. But as the time has gone by, the story has changed. It says that a violent group of people did a coup d'etat, vulnerable police officers suspiciously matches the rebellion criminal offense in the way that is described in the Spanish criminal code. One talks about rebellion, well, no one did in the past. No one talked about rebellion in the days following the referendum, simply because it was just a vote. People and said, I want to be part of Spain, or I don't want to be part of Spain. Happened because of police violence.
Because inside of the vote, there was no action involved with the vote. It was just to find out what the people wanted for their independence.
Exactly.
Which, I mean, is a tactic that we see, over and over and over again. They'll even, change the laws. So things that used to be, just general protests, they make extreme felonies with long sentences attached to them.
Yes. I think this is what they call the
that prepared all the referendum and that the people support, because it's clear that there is a big amount of people that, of course, they want the independence, and Spain doesn't want to allow that Spain is split in different parts, and they need us in a way. So they don't want it, and instead of being I don't know, in a way friendly and trying to make agreements with us, that in the past we wanted that Catalonia. Now we don't want it anymore because we want independence. But then they try to punish and to make rules in order that this doesn't happen again. That we cannot decide for ourselves, like it could be other countries like Scotland or so. Yeah, it's a kind of revenge. Exactly, it's totally a revenge that they want for us and for our politics and for our people. Yeah, it's very aggressive, the politics. Yeah.
Well, and for the first referendum, for the first vote that you guys had on this, the police, they actually shipped nationalists and fascists by busload into the protests, or to the, when people were setting up the vote. So I mean, the government deliberately sent violent people to try to break up the protest, attacking protesters, attacking people that were setting up the votes and everything, which really should be illegal in itself. The government shouldn't go out of its way because the people want their voice to be heard by sending heavily armed psychopaths to beat them up.
But they always find a way to try to convince people that this was just a way to make people comply with the law, which is nonsense. It's insane to say this, just to say, okay, since this old lady went to vote and this is against the law, I'm going to break her head. It makes no sense at all. But I think we've reached this point. Yes, the only violence in the referendum was police officers. The story has been greatly changed by Spanish media. Now Spanish society has a kind of different impression of what happened. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think one of the reasons for having reached this point in which one goes to vote and gets beaten, it's in the mentality of the two societies, because previously it hasn't been a situation in which we had just gone to vote. No, there has been a previous years of trying to negotiate again and again. Reasons for the constant conflict between Catalonia and Spain is that while Catalonia has always had a tradition of negotiation, commerce, association, reaching agreements, the Spanish state has always had a more absolutist tradition. So when the win or lose mentality and the negotiation mentality meet each other, we may end up in a situation in which the party that wants to reach an agreement always finds either silence or humiliation on the other side. Spanish political leaders negotiating, talking with the Catalans is a defeat itself. And that's one of the reasons many Catalans support this unilateral way out of Spain.
Yeah, and I think, when it comes with two authoritarian governments, I think their tactics are pretty standard. They definitely don't come up with any new ideas, and it's the same old tricks over and over again in oppression. It's sad to see, you see the same tactics all over the world, complete with the extreme police violence and then the skewed media coverage, where they pretty much make up a story and the people don't have any other option but to believe it. There's no other information out there.
Yeah, of course, and we have also the problem now that the information is being filtered by the Spanish government, even in TV. But because even if when they are saying the news in Catalonia, we have our own TV, and when they are saying the news, they are not allowed, the reporters, to say that there are political prisoners in Spain. They have to say other things, but they cannot say these words. They are not allowed to do that. And it's so ridiculous, because it's also, they cannot say the news as they feel they have to say. And this Catalan channel, it's known by its objectivity when they tell the news. So it's ridiculous. This is because they want to give an image to the people, to the citizens, totally wrong. If they are not informed, but by other means, I mean, not only by the TV, but by, I don't know, Twitter, or no, I mean, other journalists that are really good ones, they have wrong information about what's happening here. And that is what it's really happening in Spain, because in Spain all the channels are Spanish, and they are always with giving false information about what happens here. And well, so it's really disgusting, because you can, if you live there and you don't have another way to inform yourself, really you have a wrong idea about Catalan and about what's really happening here. Yeah.
I absolutely agree with what she's saying, and a part of this censorship that's going on, I think the main difference between watching, listening, or reading media in Spain or doing it in Catalonia is that we have access to all the Spanish sources. We have access to all the Spanish channels, all the Spanish radios. While in Spain, it is impossible to watch Catalan channels or listening to Catalan radios. And political debates in Spain rarely include Catalan pro-independence supporters. Even when the topic is Catalonia, they usually make up a debate with 3 or 4 people that all agree that Catalonia should be part of Spain. And the Catalan public TV station is usually criticized for being too friendly to Catalan supporters. But what is it, being too friendly? If you watch political debates in the Catalan TV station, you will normally find that half of the people debating are for independence and half against, especially when the issue debated is the relationship between Catalonia and Spain. And surely that is too much for many people that may be used to never listening to pro-independence voices. It is the right way to do things. Even if one was to argue that the Catalan TV is biased, it is undeniable that the Catalan audience can watch several Spanish channels. The Spanish audience rarely sees someone arguing in favor of Catalan independence. The debate in Spanish televisions are between those who want to suspend, again, the Catalan autonomy, and those who simply don't want to negotiate with the Catalans. They are very similar opinions.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I know that it's not necessarily, but this is when, the net neutrality and ACTA comes into play, because that gives people, it gives governments, it gives corrupt agencies the ability to censor the truth, to censor people's voices. They can take down your page or your news article or whatever just because they don't like what it's saying, and that's a very dangerous thing. When you have no access, even if you don't agree with what somebody's saying, you should have access to that information, and they're going out of their way to silence any dissenting voices.
Yeah, exactly. This is what happened here. The voices are silent, just not allowed sometimes, or not just even listened, because they don't have the opportunity. So, and then it creates a kind of this no knowledge. They create that most citizens of Spain, they don't understand why we want independence, because they don't feel there is really a problem. And even some of them, they think that we are kind of egoistic if we want this, because they don't understand our reasons, because they don't see all this. So, because if you see the images of the 1st of October that they are in they happen here, and the images that they put on TV in the rest of Spain, the history is totally explained in another way. So it seems that really the Catalan were the citizens were attacking the policemen, and that it's not true, all this. So it's how it's explained that creates that a kind of also hate against the Catalanophobia we say against the citizens here. Yeah, and it's also about politics.
For people that have been, that are listening, if they've been, involved or been watching, the press coverage of things like the Yellow Vest protests, where the media will focus on 2 seconds of violence, or something that seems that seems violent, that shows what they want to exemplify, and then they will ignore the entire protest. So if you've got 10,000 people in a place that are protesting peacefully, right, they will show just nonstop the same video of one guy throwing a rock. And then a lot of times you find out that it's actually their, one of their plants or one of their agents that was the guy throwing the rock, that it was an instigator. It wasn't even one of the people in the protests, which happens quite a bit. But the media will caption something, and like I said, the Yellow Vests are a good example of that, because, you'll have millions of people in the street, and they'll ignore the police violence, but then if anybody stands up and says something back, that's all they show. That's all they show 24/7. And it's how they try to demonize the people that are speaking out, or the people that are trying to accomplish freedom, of any sort. But the same trick over.
Yeah.
When it comes to protest.
Yeah.
Yes, and the accusation of rebellion is mostly based in these individual cases. Not only the Spanish media constantly shows individual situations that happened on October 1, in which someone shouted at the police or threw a rock. The accusation of rebellion, the thing that is trying to put the Catalan leaders in jail for 30 years, based all the evidence they have are individual situations, such as these people just jumped on top of the police cars, and they talk about situations that may seem ridiculous, like, for example, some of the witnesses of the trial are police officers that took part in the police action of October 1, and some of they use as an evidence the fact that stared at them with a look of hatred. You would see the hate in their eyes. They say,
yeah.
and situations such as this one is terrible.
It's ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous, because they are when you if you listen to the trial, and when you listen to the policemen just saying that they were afraid of this hated, these eyes of hate of the old women looking at them. So it's so ridiculous, and then that is all the violence it was. I think one finger, or I don't know if it even was broken, of a policeman against 1,000 citizens, Catalan citizens, that were harmed, and even one of them lost one eye with a plastic. I don't know how it's called in English.
Rubber bullets, probably.
Rubber gun, that are forbidden in Catalonia, and he lost the eye because they even pointed direct to the people, not even to the air. So there was violence against us, the people who went to vote, and this was when in the trial they wanted to show the videos showing that people was peaceful voting, and also show how the policeman was attacking people. the judge said that, well, there's no time to see all these videos, and always excuses. So they could not even show to the people the videos. Everybody knows them, but in the trial they didn't see them, and so was like hiding the reality, and they could not have a good defense on that because they could not show what the defense wanted to show. So it's manipulating the information again and again. Yeah.
Yeah, media manipulation is always one of their first goes-tos. Controlling the courts so that you can't get a fair trial is another one. I think it's interesting that they say, oh, I saw the hatred in old lady's eyes. Well, if an old woman is hating you for beating on her grandchildren, I can understand that.
Yeah.
You're shooting rubber bullets at their grandchildren. That makes grandmothers angry. Yeah, they probably did have anger in their eyes. What else would you have in your heart when people are tear gassing you and beating you? What other emotion are you supposed to give them?
Yeah, of course.
Yes, and they are just taking this image, and they constantly in Spanish media talked about all the images of voters being hurt being fake news. They say that they were all or most of them fake news, but all these images are being used as evidence in the trial, so they weren't fake news. But they then caption images of people angry, like if they wanted to tell everyone that the Catalan people are very angry, they're very hateful people full of hate, which makes no sense. I think it has become, and all the people that watch the Spanish media, there's this feeling of an increase in the hate towards all the people that are pro-independence in Spain, but basically because every single day that the Spanish media is telling something terrible about Catalonia.
And only to add that when they said about they are accusing them of rebellion, and one of the things that they say that was terrible, that the policeman said that Catalan people attacked them with paper airplanes. Just
not paper airplanes.
Yeah, paper airplanes. yeah, people were throwing paper
airplanes and yogurt.
That you do yourself with paper, this. Yeah, so it's kind of that this is a kind of aggressivity that it exists because in general here people is really pacific, so they don't like to really fight. And you can see also this in not only the 1st of October. You can see in each demonstration we do. That's thousands of people there, and never happens anything. People just sing, just meet, and it's a kind of festivity to go together to ask for our independence. And I mean, it's like also very civilized. I don't know how to say, but
no, yes, and the thing is that when all these police officers appeared on October 1, something really strange. It was people couldn't believe what they were seeing. They couldn't understand that just because you went to, no one was expecting this. No one. It felt like absolutely disproportionate. But I feel like since then the unity of Spain has become kind of an obsession of both politicians and media, Spanish politicians and media, and people, the Catalan leaders that are in exile, and one of the Catalan leaders that's also in prison have the European election. And they just they were elected. In fact, one of the leaders in exile, Puigdemont, was the most voted in Catalonia in the European election. but they are banned from entering the European Parliament. And there has been a huge debate of what's going on. There's certainly a huge pressure from Spain towards the European Union for not trying not to let leaders in exile get in the European Parliament. Some people inside the European Union are already asking what's going on. Why not let the European Parliament elected MPs? It makes no sense, and it feels like if Europe doesn't wake up, these Spanish authoritarian ways be part of the European institutions. And Catalonia has always had a huge European vocation, explained by the fact that it has been almost impossible to find in Spain a solution to any of the big issues that the Catalan society perceives as important. So most Catalans felt like Europe could be the answer to many of the problems that cannot be solved in Spain. In which a comparison is made between the trust in the European Parliament and the trust in the national parliament for each European region. Mistaken, it is from 2015. The European region with the highest levels of trust in the European Parliament when compared with the levels of trust in the national parliament. And the European Union now, and specifically the President of the European Parliament, who is part of the Popular Party, right wing, in a time in which Euroscepticism is on the rise everywhere, the most pro-European regions, and tells its voters that the candidates they voted for Parliament, which is theoretically represents the will of the people. A lot of empathy to understand that telling more than 2 million people valid is going to make some people quite angry with the way democracy works. Not simply say, oh, okay, my vote doesn't count, no worries. Out what is going on in Europe.
And you're already promised some amount of autonomy in the Constitution. So when the Constitution in 1975 I think it was, came through, you were giving independence for language and for autonomy to begin with. Did they change that, or is that just ignored now?
There was some rights for the Catalan autonomy and other autonomies. But I feel like they were very limited rights, always with an article 155 which says that it's suspended. And we need to bear in mind that this was voted after 40 years of dictatorship, so people were still quite afraid. Everything seemed 40 years of dictatorship. If this constitution was voted today, clearly vote against it.
Sure.
Well, I mean, whether somebody would vote against it today or not, that still doesn't change that it's in your Constitution, which is what's important. Once you're given rights, even if somebody wants to take those rights away, it's too late. We already have those freedoms in our Constitution. I just think it's interesting that it's ignored so greatly.
The thing is that the Spanish Constitution, as of today, it is being used more as a weapon of some minorities than as a shard of freedoms. It feels like it is always being misinterpreted in a way that always benefits the central institutions. It feels like, okay, every time they go to the Constitutional Court to understand if a right is if something is constitutional or not, Constitutional Court always benefits the strong ones, mainly because the members of the Constitutional Court, by the two biggest parties in Spain.
Yeah. And still, I think that the Constitution, it's 40 years ago, so why is not changeable if the society also is changing all the time? And after that, it became the Statute, Catalonia, and then this was 2010, I think, and then the people, this I don't know how to explain, but they were cutting what we had in this statute. They were cutting it again. So that's, I think, the point where some people became more independent, pro-independence, because we were losing our rights here. It's I don't know how. It's very complex, all these.
Yes, and what she's talking about is this thing, the Catalan Statute of Autonomy. It was kind of a Catalan statute that tried to make it possible for Catalonia to fit in Spain, and it was a law that was fully constitutional, but they ended up making excuses and more excuses about of its articles not being fully constitutional for God knows how many explanations. It reached a point in which it felt as if we were treated as idiots, because we knew that what was passed in the Catalan Parliament, the Catalan Statute of Autonomy, in the end they ended up erasing lots of articles saying, no, this is not fully constitutional, this is not exactly constitutional. It was, in the end, it was ridiculous, and that's the moment in which Catalan independentism, Catalan pro-independence supporters went from about 20% to about 50%.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That was the first step for having then this question of about how many people would support independence, and it has been increasing and increasing.
It feels like it has been there have been several attempts to fit in Spain.
Yeah.
In the end, it has felt like it was absolutely impossible to negotiate anything. It felt like every time a right was given to the Catalan people, many communities, all the other governments from all the other communities were like going crazy, like, what are you doing? Do not negotiate with the Catalans. And it reached the point in which most people started thinking that maybe independence was the only solution.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think after seeing how Catalonian people are treated, how even thinking about, finding out if you should be independent, their reaction to it, that almost leads you to believe that you have to have independence. If this is how the people in power are going to treat you, there's almost no other option but independence. That government does not have your best interests in mind. That's more than obvious.
Yeah, of course they don't have interest, because they don't want that we are independent. But yeah, the problem is that they are not going to facilitate that we are. And the 1st of October, when we did this referendum, also we had problems because they didn't want to celebrate it, and they tried to take the list of the people you could not receive. They could not use the normal system to ask the people to vote, so they had to invent other ways for making a vote available, and it was a kind of war, informatic war, because the government was trying that we could not vote, and hacking the networks and the computers that of the poll stations for not allowing people to vote. And then there were other hackers that trying to restore it for making available that people could vote. So it was an informatic war between hackers. So it was interesting also to see that. That's because they didn't want it to allow it in a normal way to vote. I think I lost the connection.
No, that was me. I lost connection. Yeah, and I'm gonna actually post some of the statistics when we're done here, so people can see, how much support there is for independence inside of the area, because it seems to be extremely hard. I was looking through some other news articles here, and although they talk about the vote, they don't talk about the results of the vote.
Mm-hmm.
So for the people that, for the numbers that are out there, if it's, 80, 90%, of the people that they polled said, yes, they should be independent, that's a big number than putting down a small insurrection, which is what they want to paint it as.
Yes, the thing is that about 90% of the people that voted in favor of independence. Spanish media always try to put the focus on the turnout, which you need to bear in mind some things regarding the turnout. The thing is that many of the votes obviously were stolen by the police, so we cannot count these votes that were stolen. If we count all the votes that were not stolen, there was about 43% turnout, which I have to say it's quite a good numbers if we bear in mind also all the police violence, or the fact that we had to wait, for example, in my city for 6 hours to vote because they were going constantly. They were constantly hacking all the polling stations to try for people not to vote. And the truth is that about 90% of the people voted in favor of independence. And they always try to also tell the story that pro-independence support is getting lower, but this is also not true. For example, if we take a look at the last European election, got more votes than parties that are against Catalan independence. So I think that they will always sometimes it feels like they think that they can silence this movement just by criticizing it on TV, fake news, just silencing its opinion. But the truth is that are not changing. The truth is that it's a movement that it's growing, and sooner or later they'll have to do something with it.
So, I'm looking through the numbers here, and first, the first thing is translated, but the question is extremely straightforward, and really not, when I was reading through the other news articles, not what they were painting it as all. So this is the exact words translated into English of the referendum. Answer yes or no. Do you want Catalonia to become an independent state in the form of a republic? Yes or no? That's the entire question.
Yeah.
It leaves no room for for any kind of
the entire question. And then to go down the numbers here, like you said, there was a lot in America. We call that voter suppression. You know, they send thugs to the voting stations. You know, so to keep people from voting, instill fear so that you don't want to go vote. They'll even put media cameras down there so that they can try to expose people that if they show you going and voting, you know, that you'll get repercussions, so people won't come out and vote. But even then, there were a little over 2 million people that voted, right? 92.01% of the people voted yes. Only 177,000 people voted no. Only 177,000 people to 2 million people that voted yes. So the no's got you know, roughly 8% of the vote. You know, those are some pretty overwhelming numbers. You know, you'd be hard to find an issue in any country that 90% of the people agreed on and voted yes on. You know, the population is like everywhere else. You know, people have all sorts of different opinions, right? You'd be hard to find 90% consensus on anything. But here, out of the people that voted, which was almost half of the population, 90% of them said yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that means that even with a turnout of like 80% or 90%, you would still have a majority.
Yeah, I mean an overwhelming majority at that. You know, we're not talking about you know, this is a pretty good, you know, swath of poll of the voters. Geez, those numbers are just super hard to argue with. When you start getting 90%, you know, yes, the answer is yes. Yeah, and I mean that was October 1st, 2017. That those numbers, and like our guests were saying, they did all sorts of manipulation to try to keep those numbers as low as possible, as well, you know, on top of as well as trying to hack the voting systems, trying to violently stop people from going to vote. You know, they used every tool they could to keep the numbers down, and still 43% of the people came out and voted. You know, our elections are huge, and not even close to 40% of our population comes out to vote for anything.
Yeah, that's why we really want that. It's clear, and it went to both the people that is just 18 till the really old lady that reminds that leave the war, or because the old people here still reminds the civil war here with Frankism, yeah, and they went to vote because they wanted finally to have independence and to forget about all this dictatorship, and yeah, and people went also, yeah, they wanted this right of voting and deciding, and the result is this, that still our politics confronting many maybe 75 years in prison for rebellion, that maybe we don't know if it will happen, and we have politics in exile, and I mean this is the result, and many citizens that they have to go to court because they had different orders. I mean, they were punished also. The teachers, that directors of schools that allow to have the poll votations in the schools. They were also mayors and many different people that allowed it in a way to make this consultation that are required in court now. So
yes, and also we were talking about all the obstacles that people that went to vote had. One of the main things that was happening before the referendum, constantly every day in all channels, Spanish politicians, Spanish political leaders, even members of the judiciary system were appearing on TV telling the people that it was illegal to take part in the vote. And they even said that if someone took part in the vote, they would probably have legal problems later. So people were constantly scared before the vote, during the vote, and after the vote. It has been really a struggle, but as you say, the results are quite overwhelming, and they leave no room for debate. But obviously, they always will find a way to question what seems pretty obvious to the Catalan society. I'm sorry, guys. I have to leave now. It has been great taking part in the stream. So
thank you for coming on, and hopefully we'll have you again on soon. If not next Sunday, but soon after while we're doing these.
Okay, thank you very much. And bye.
I have to leave it too because I sorry about that.
No, it's okay, guys. It's okay, guys. We had some technical issues at the start, so we're a bit late today.
Okay.
No, and that's fine. And for ours, there's a lot to the Catalonian struggle. So I mean, thank you very much for joining us, and we'll try to kind of fill in some of the gaps, and then when we do have you on again, we can ask some more specific questions from our viewers and such after they have a better understanding of what's going on. Because unfortunately, a lot of people in the West, a lot of people in America, they have no idea that this is even going on.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Good night.
Okay. Well.
Alright.
Thanks everyone for listening, I guess. Just like 1 hour we went on, but it's fine, I guess. I mean,
no, I don't mind. Yeah, I don't mind. Anytime we can help get the word out when people are being, shut out by the media, it doesn't matter what part of the planet we go to, we're always fighting this corporate media nightmare. Right, it's always the same story. It's always the same game. It's interesting to make the connections between all of them. Watching the same tactics that they use in Ferguson and Standing Rock. It's always the same game. Oppression has 1,000 faces, right? Freedom always looks the same.
Yeah, and I want to thank you for picking up so fast. I mean, without you, we would be in trouble because I couldn't get into the voice yet for. Like it didn't work. I was like streaming at the same time. It didn't work for me to go into the voice chat because it picks up from the computer audio and not from the mic. So I had to join from my phone with another account into the voice chat. I didn't know it was like this, but it is like this. So thank you a lot for picking up. I mean, you were very fast.
I am honored to play my part, however small that may be.
No, it's great. I mean, I always do, but I mean, you were very fast there, so it really helped. And about that whole referendum thing, I mean, I always hear the Spanish government and the Spanish saying like the referendum is illegal or whatever, but if you look at like them doing like hacking attacks and doing intimidation and all that stuff, instead of embracing a democratic referendum or even organizing it for them, I mean, that's already shocking to me, so, yeah.
Yeah, it was that, and I think we do have a little bit of a language barrier, but we do work through it. It's so interesting to see. I mean, all of the games that they played to keep this referendum from going, from even being viewed, coming out and having all of your politicians say that it's illegal, and if you go and vote that you're going to be, prosecuted in the future, and then sending your media teams down there to take pictures of everybody, right? Like, how many people didn't come and vote from that fact alone?
Yeah, no, exactly. So, well, we will just go live again next week then, a little earlier than today. I mean, I think we fixed most of the issues and then we can just go straight.
Oh, I messed up our Twitter post so bad. I mean, I posted it 2 times wrong, and then the 3rd time I posted it, I've just left it up now. Like, I totally screwed it up. The retweet was fine. The one where I tried to real quick make another post about it, that was horrible. So yeah, we definitely I would have wanted that to go a little bit better. But the important part is that we get it out, we get it on YouTube, we get the conversation and a place where people can go and get information and get the truth. Make your own decision, like every one of our shows, right? Make your own decision. Our goal is to get the information out there, to get the truth out there, to get what's going on the ground out there, to get how the people feel out there. You're free to make whatever decision you feel that you need to make out of it, but our goal is to get up as much truthful information as possible. And I think we did that today.
I think so too. And I want to thank everyone for listening. And please share this episode because we didn't do a good job at sharing today. So please help us share it far and wide. And thanks everyone. We'll be back Thursday at normal times. And next Sunday with episode 4 of Catalonia. I think we'll try to go up a little earlier and to do a little better job. But,
and we should, Thursday we'll have our updates, just for our listeners. On Thursdays we'll have our normal show and our updates. For those that didn't know that it snuck by, we had another amazing protest with the Yellow Vests in France again, so we will have some updates on that, as well as the protests in Hong Kong. Just to end it, as we are, Anonymous Bites Back, it's amazing that Hong Kong was just, they just were thinking about extraditing people, and they didn't even know who those people were. And you saw the outrage of having their civil rights taken, where the same thing is happening to Julian Assange. I would love to see that kind of outrage for extradition. Right? That's what the people of Hong Kong are protesting about, extradition. That's what protest looks like, guys. That's what unity looks like. They don't even, the people that they're protesting, good, bad, whatever, doesn't matter. Right? They're protesting that their lives are being stolen, and in a way that we must unify, guys. So yeah, I think I'll probably leave it at that. We will have our normal updates. Share, like, all that good stuff. Smash that subscribe button. What are the other things that that the YouTubers always say? But yeah, as much support as we get, as much information out. What was that?
something about neutering politicians.
Oh yes, remember spay and neuter your politicians.
Okay.
I'm telling you, I say that every time. I'm getting a T-shirt made with that on it. That needs to be our slogan. All right, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your Father's Days, and we will see you on Thursday.
Bye, guys.